Well, how are we doing, everyone? Sam United People's TV. It's Saturday. You don't normally see me here. I know that. You know that. But after all of Ruben Amorim's comments last night in the embargoed press conference, that's the one that goes out at 10:30 p.m., felt like I wanted to run through them all ahead of the kickoff. The kickoff? Kickoff today at 3 p.m. And also, David Ornstein saying, kind of reiterating what Laurie Whitwell was saying earlier this week, that Ruben Amorim is staying at Manchester United. The club is sticking by him. And the interesting thing about that is the contrasting reports that's coming out from James Ducker from The Telegraph, from somebody who typically, believes, or gets his information from the club. What's going on there? I'm going to run through all of those conflicting reports, explain them to you. We're going to run through all of Ruben Amorim's comments because there's a lot in this one. He speaks about the system, speaks about the media in particular, and how much the players listen to them. PH saying, you don't look as happy as usual. Don't I? Well, find out if I'm happy at 5:30 today. All right? Let me say hello to everybody. Anybody have a good Friday night? What did you get up to? Feeling hungover this morning? I'm not feeling fresh. My plasterer turned up at 7:55 in the morning. Getting some decorating done. Am I okay? Thank you very much for asking. I am. How are you? How is everyone? Did you have a good Friday night? Carl, good morning to you. JC, Steph, we've got Ant, you're there as well. Nice to see all the regular faces even tuning in on a Saturday morning. Steve, good morning to you. Maddie, lovely to see you there. We've got Chris, we've got Steve, Sasha, we've got Potato. Right. Let's run through this. Now, if you haven't seen what the story was last night, this is from David Ornstein saying this. The Manchester United want to stick with Ruben Amorim. The 40-year-old is not planning on walking away. Both parties know that results must improve, but United bosses still fully support. Now, one thing I always find, this is a really, really strange segue for me to do here. Still fully support Portuguese. Like you're fully supporting all of Portugal. I always find that really strange in the English language, how that's the word Portuguese is used to describe one person when it sounds like it's describing more than one. As I said, very random segue. But the squad is largely backing the head coach. If change is made, Southgate's not expected to feature. Every single one of you knows how angry I've been getting at this Southgate bullshit. Crap. Peddled and gobbled up. Rage bait. Oh, let me get angry at this news that's never going to happen. Use your noggin. Don't complain about the media and pretend that you're any different if you then do a title and a headline on Gareth Southgate potentially becoming Manchester United manager. You are exactly the same. End of conversation on Gareth Southgate. Lovely. What I'm going to do is actually play the full clip here from David Ornstein. Oh, did him rotten with that. Sorry about that, pause. Have a listen to what he says. Goes into a little bit more detail there, and then I'll compare that to the articles that have come out from James Ducker from The Telegraph and also Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail. This is David Ornstein speaking on NBC Sports.
Ruben Amorim is under major pressure, but I think most of that pressure is applied on him by himself, as well as the burden of being Manchester United manager. But Manchester United themselves, as I understand it, they're not planning to sack him. They don't want or intend to. And I don't think he's planning to walk away from this. Last season, I think he really felt the strain. And people I speak to says he was questioning whether he could succeed there. But I do think sort of incrementally there is a bit of improvement felt, however small, so far this season.
Is it? I mean, it's going to be small if you're going to be looking for improvement. Anyway, back to what you're saying.
Especially with some of the new signings, and it is still very early. But Sir Jim Ratcliffe, as minority owner but with sporting control, is at the heart of this. He's heavily involved. Omar Barada as chief executive, Jason Wilcox as technical director, essentially the sporting director. There's a lot riding on this decision for them because they essentially appointed him and have placed great faith in him and his system. Results will need to improve. We can't get away from that, and we know how this industry operates. But I think they would like to give him more time. There's no guarantee by any means that if they lose against Sunderland that they would sack him. And in fact, I don't think they would, as long as it wasn't too severe. They've got some games.
As long as it wasn't too severe, a little bit random there. But David Ornstein saying that the complete opposite of what James Ducker is saying is kind of the point I'm trying to raise a little bit more. I think it's interesting to listen to. It's all well and good sometimes reading quotes, but it is important to listen to full clips wherever you possibly can. I think that's just like a good rule of thumb. And like, don't just take a quote that's from Ruben. If you get, I know you might not have the opportunity to sit there and listen to a full 7-8 minute press conference, but sometimes clips are important as well as just the quotes that come from them.
After the international break and before the November international break that maybe would be a truer test. Of course, it would be expensive to get rid of him, but I don't think money will be at the heart of this decision. It will be based on what they're seeing from a football perspective. People have talked about shortlists. I don't know of there being a shortlist to replace him. Of course, Man United will always be looking at options like every club and aware of the market, whether it be on an interim basis, a longer term, or even after the World Cup in the summer of 2026. But I'm assured that Gareth Southgate is not in the frame for the Manchester United job should it become available.
That's enough of that. David Ornstein did him dirty on that one as well. This guy, he blinks a lot. The Manchester United are sticking with Ruben Amorim, which corroborates what was said from Laurie Whitwell. Everything, all the noise that he's hearing around Ruben Amorim is that the club wants to stand by him, right? Which is the total opposite of what's being reported here. And I think this is the interesting thing about this, because these are two journalists that I trust and two journalists that I think have earned their reputation over the years. Now, David Ornstein, I think probably all of you will agree with me. He's kind of out on his own in terms of reputation, in terms of when David Ornstein reports and David Ornstein speaks, it's invariably the truth. He's not really one for, that difference that happened. Like David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano were kind of on the same sort of path at one point in time, but in the same way that Fabrizio will now tell you 25 times about something that will happen, David Ornstein will kind of tell you right at the point where it's the truth, rather than sort of keep you hooked in the whole way. But I find this interesting because, like, someone down there, Mike, is saying that Ornstein and Ducker must have different sources at United. I presume so. Potter, with the chat there, I'd love you to come there and clarify what you mean. You're saying this channel is toxic now. Please explain yourself, sir. The floor is yours. I'm looking forward to seeing you tripping up on this one. But James Ducker is reporting that Amorim could be sacked if United lose to Sunderland, which is the total opposite of what David Ornstein's saying. And then you've got Chris Wheeler, who's following suit from James Ducker. So do these journalists now all have different sources within inside the club? I don't quite know. But I'll politely ask you what your response and your thoughts on that are before we then dive into the main part of the show, which are actually Ruben Amorim's comments from his press conference yesterday. Elbow grease. I noticed that the other day, and I actually spoke to people about it, saying we need an update on the emojis. I realise that. So we're going to be working on in the background. It'd actually be really quite helpful if any of you want to get involved in that. The emojis, I think we're allowed 30 different emojis on this, custom emojis. Last time I got them all designed by an artist, but it'll be cool if somebody could help Jimmy out. So if you can email jimmy@unitedpeoples.tv, he'd love your help as to choosing what those 30 emojis should be. Personal ones for the channel, special ones for United People's TV, just for the community, and obviously updated ones for the players. And then if we can get that list of 30 emojis chosen, and you can help choose them, we can get them designed and added in for you. Let me see what you're saying down here. And you're saying, Sam, if Ornstein is speaking this definitively, I think he's been teed up by Ratcliffe directly. Maybe. But I find it strange that two very, very established journalists in the Manchester United space have got very different headlines, not very, very different information. Ornstein saying one thing, James Ducker saying the other. But one thing that we know is guaranteed. Today is far, 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 far more significant than it should be. You know, like when you go into games of football, as Manchester United, there will always be pressure. But there are different sorts of pressure. I don't know why this is coming into my head. United playing Arsenal in 99 in the FA Cup semi-replay. It's pressure because you're on for a potential treble here. So it's the pressure of success and what is just over the hill if you can get there. And then you've got the pressure which Ruben Amorim is under now. The pressure of failure, the pressure of your job being on the line. So it's different sorts of pressure can squeeze from different directions. George is saying, is Ducker just saying if Sunderland win big over us, he's going to get sacked? Let's quickly read through. Ruben Amorim could be sacked if he loses to Sunderland today. Telegraph Sport understands that Amorim is under acute pressure heading into a must-win game. Another defeat in United's last outing after they travelled to Anfield could severely test the patience of co-owners Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers. So actually, when you read the article in a bit more detail, I forgot to do that in the show here. I've read it earlier. It's a little bit less inflammatory than the headline might suggest. 5 emojis of Sam. No, let's not have emojis of me. You can if you want. Be a bit weird. What else are you saying down here in the chats? We're just going up there. Just looking for where Potter was saying I'm toxic. And where is... Oh, mate. You haven't followed up on yourself. Ah. Sensitive, Sam. Not sensitive, dude. It's just I've put so much of my professional career into this channel, into building this community, and I'm not just going to sit by and watch people like yourself come in here and try to undermine it and try to undermine the community. You stand for and you defend what you build. That's the same with anything in life. If you can't understand that, that's on you, my friend. Right, let's get into the second part of today's show, which is, as I said, Ruben Amorim speaking about, well, quite a few things. And I think it feels like Ruben Amorim's come out swinging. I don't know whether that's the right way to describe it. I'm going to run through some of the comments from Ruben here. But this... He was speaking about the criticism. He goes, it's normal, you can't run away from the results. Then you have baggage from last season. But for me, last season doesn't matter. We had 6 games this season and lost 3. Nothing to do with the system. People have different opinions, and that's okay. Now, last season doesn't matter. I mean, Ruben, I still want you to succeed. And I've said this. I really, really do. And I'm not just saying this for performative reasons. I still would love him to find the missing ingredient. But let's not pretend that last season didn't happen. You can't do that. United did not give him the best possible start because we brought him in mid-season. But he wanted the dream job. His quote, again, by the way. It is a dream for him to be at Manchester United. It is his dream job. That's why he took it mid-season. But let's not pretend that we can't look at last season. Let's not pretend that we can just bury what happened last season. Because it did happen. But here's where it gets interesting. All right? Because he put a lot of focus on the media and speaking about them. And I want to get your take. He also spoke about the system too, but we'll speak about that. Because I'm the manager of a big club and it's the media. Is the media going to dictate what I'm going to do? It cannot be. It's not possible to sustain that. I don't want to change your mind, but my players, I guarantee you, They are listening to you. And let me read that a little bit more on that, okay? Because Ruben, now the way I'm interpreting these, and I'll be, such strange comments, people, leave. You seem more awkward than usual. That sounds kind of weird. I seem awkward? People, I'm just trying to do a live show. It's just, people like, oh, you're being too sensitive, Sam. Like, it's just really strange comments. When I read it, my mind goes, eh? And they catch me off guard. Really strange comments do. Sorry for being awkward, people. I know it's not meant as a negative comment, but it's just a very strange thing to type, dude. When I'm trying to do a live show and read through comments from loads of you in the community whilst also reading the news. It's just odd. I'm going to run through this now. I'm going to ignore the comments for a little while so I can actually get on with the show. The way I'm interpreting this is, I suppose to a degree, Ruben Amorim is defending his system, but more so it's to me, seemingly, he's pointing the finger at what he feels is the bigger problem. Let me run through the quotes here. Okay? Because I'm not concerned about that, and nobody here is naive. We're speaking about his job. We understand that we need results to continue the project, and we will reach a point that is impossible for everyone. It's a very big club with a lot of sponsors. With two owners, and the balance is really hard. What I want to see is my team winning or losing, playing the same way. And we're not doing that. In the simple things of playing football that anyone can do. And here's the big one down here. My biggest problem is for my players believe in you guys. That's a little bit wrong English. So my biggest problem is for my players to believe in you guys when you say that the problem of our team is the system. I get crazy about that because I can see the team. I can point you the way we play in different systems. We need to play the same way, with the same power, with the same intensity, with the same focus. And if you do that, it doesn't matter what the system is. And that there's the biggest quote, the most important quote. Hence why I've highlighted it in red. What's your take on this? Because as I said, you can take this as Ruben Amorim defending his system, which I think it is to a certain degree. But it's also Ruben Amorim pointing... I think there's going to be people that are saying that he's throwing the players under the bus, but my take on this, right, and I'll go down to the comments. Both of these things can be correct at the same time. Ruben Amorim, your system is flawed, fella. No two ways about it. I don't know how much more evidence you need. Your system is flawed. Now, I think you can make some small tweaks. I don't think a big shift into a new formation is going to be... I mean, I'm not sure if it would certainly improve United's results, but would that bring long-term... No, I don't think it would, because he would ultimately want to go back to his other system. But you're going to have to make tweaks. We've spoken about this quite a few times. Glasner uses a 3-4-3 system as well, but the application of it is different. The intricacies, the roles, the responsibilities, the approaches are different. Tweaks are needed. Play wingers as wing-backs. No, sorry, Dalot just has no place in this team whatsoever at any point ever again. And he hasn't really at any point. He's just not a wing-back. If you put Dalot into a back four system, he's actually probably going to be a pretty decent player. But he's not a wing-back. He never will be a wing-back. No matter how professional he is, or how good his attitude is, and how much you want him to be used as an example about how you approach... It technically is just not good enough. It just will not work. To play wingers as wing-backs. And other tweaks too. But that bit down there in red, I can't stress this enough. He is so completely correct. it doesn't matter what system. Like, if Man United, like, we're speaking in pure hypotheticals here. Man United turn out like this today. Everyone is shocked and surprised. Man United line up with a 4-3-3 against Sunderland. We've got Lomans in goal. We've got Dorgu and Yoro. Can't play Mazraoui because he's injured, but we're playing a 4 at the back. We've got Casemiro and Mainu in midfield. We've got Bruno in the number 10. That's his perfect position. We've got a front 3 with Cunha and Bumo. Oh, man, we're going to smash it. What do you mean we lose 2-1 to Sunderland because the players played the exact same intensity that they did against Brentford? Oh, shock horror. That's the point he's making, and no United fan can deny that this is correct. United could play 4-3-3, 5-3-2, 4-4-2, whatever formation you want to describe. If they play like they did against Brentford, it doesn't matter what formation they play. And I know that that's correct. I know that that is true because I have seen these problems underneath Ruben Amorim with a 3 at the back system. Erik ten Hag with a 4 at the back system. Different managers, different systems, different players, same football club, same problems. Ruben is not wrong here. And this is the thing I think United fans at this point, I just think like football fans in general, find it very difficult to have nuanced conversations. Find it very difficult that it's not always just an extreme. Like, it's not just the system. I'm not saying that United fans don't understand this because I think they do largely. But you can't possibly just point the finger towards a system and think if you change that, it's going to solve United's problems. You can't possibly just point towards the players and say, oh, there's nothing wrong with the system. All these things are correct at once. That's quite a bad reality there. I think we all know it. I would ask you, like, just as a question, do you think there's anything that Manchester United can do more? I want to focus on this first before we speak about the system, speak about media and players, etc. What do you think Manchester United can do to help combat the media's influence on the players? Is there anything that we can do? Like, famously, you want to go right back, like Fergie. I specifically remember this. Like, we didn't have a Twitter account until Fergie retired because he was so against the exposure that would bring to the football club. And he wasn't wrong. What can the club actually do? See, like, David, you can say down there about banning social media. I don't think that would be possible. I mean, you could try. Josh, you're saying that do a blackout. Like you saw it with Ahmad recently after he posted what was a pretty damn relatively innocent picture with Garnacho, somebody who was a friend with him. I think they're represented by the same agents, and put a photo of him online after. But because Garnacho's just met, it was naive of. That's all it was. It was a naive post from Ahmad, not realising the sentiment among United fans, or maybe how angry the sentiment among United fans was towards Garnacho. So we did a social media blackout. Musk, you're saying the professionals deal with it. If the media determine their attitude, they need to go. That's just not the way to deal with things that are affecting you mentally. Just deal with it. Get on with it. That isn't the solution. You can shout that if you want, but that never resolves anything for anybody ever. Might make you feel better. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to you, but that's just not how you deal with problems and things that are affecting you mentally. But the media's influence on Manchester United is far bigger than it should be. And I've always kind of said this, and I've always thought this. It's like, I called it pre-worries. You know, like when sometimes you've got friends who are worried about something that hasn't actually happened yet. It might not actually happen. But in game situations, it feels like players kind of reach that point mentally. Like they go 1-0 down, and part of their brain is thinking, oh my God, man, the headlines about me tomorrow are going to be grim. Oh. Like, just whether it's conscious or subconscious, it feels like that kind of happens to the players. They're worried about how bad the fallout is going to be in game, and it affects the game itself and their ability to come back from said game. It feels like players are sometimes thinking about what's happening after the game, during the game. And their mind slips. Their mind moves elsewhere because they're so fearful of the fallout and the impact that it will have on them. And I don't know. The only thing that can really stop that is winning. But yeah, let me see what you're saying down here. Now you're talking about revamping the sports psychology department. We're starting to do some research on that behind the scenes. I don't actually know what the exact setup at the club is. But David is saying, with all the negative news affects us as a fan base, imagine how the players must feel seeing it all the time. Chris is saying it's a weak excuse. Chris, like, again, with the greatest of respect, we can call it a weak excuse if we want. But it is clearly impacting. Spider Socks, you're saying, Sam, you do realise you're contributing to half the problems you're complaining about. I realise that we've got a platform here. And it's why I do my damn best to try to avoid fueling it, to avoid adding to it. We have conversations. Of course we have conversations. We have disagreements. Of course we have disagreements. Did I put some videos out this week saying that I lost faith in Amorim? Yeah, I did. Because that's how I felt as a Manchester United fan. I don't regret doing those videos. I didn't do them in an inflammatory way. I didn't do them in a disrespectful way. It was just an honest opinion from a Manchester United fan who's hurting at what's going on at his football club right now. I know you can try and tar me with the same brush as others, but it won't stick with me. I know who I am. I know what I do. And I don't do anything with bad intentions for my football club. I don't ever try and put gasoline on any fires. Like, shit me, people. Like, it is so damn hard to do this in these sorts of times and still feel like you've got some form of integrity. It is a swamp out there, people. It is a goddamn swamp. And still, it's not good enough for some people. And I kind of that is what it is. But mate, I'm permanently thinking about Man United 24/7. I'm thinking about how best can I do this? What's the best angle to take? I have conversations with a team every morning about the titles that we do, the headlines that we do, the videos that we produce, and the videos that we don't produce. You might think I just turn up and just do a live show, and that's it. Like, I think about things. Yeah, to be fair, I do get emotional. I haven't actually. I'll be honest, I'd much rather have an emotional coach than I would like a stern-faced, just cold coach. If I'm being completely honest. Is there a balance? Is there a case of sometimes going too far? Yeah. Do I sometimes go too far? Yeah. So I'm a little bit Amorim in that respect. Someone down there saying black out the socials. And I'll be honest, right? This, again, I think so much of this, really, it's on the players themselves and the players' choices. You're sitting there and, like, you have a choice every single night sometimes. Sitting there in bed, you can scroll. You can do a little bit of doom scrolling. Don't have to. You can choose not to. It's a habit. It's kind of easy to do a bit of doom scrolling, but you can choose to not go on social media. You can just choose to read a book. You can choose to watch a film. You can choose to watch a series. I don't know. Do whatever you want. You don't have to go on social media. There's almost an impulsion for us all to do it. It's kind of part of society now. But a lot absorption of media is going to be down to player choices. You can just remove yourself from it a little bit. It's not easy. And especially like WhatsApp, for example. Like, even if players are able to avoid it, they're going to have a mate who's going to ping them straight back into it by sending them links, sending them screenshots. And even if you manage to avoid things, you somehow don't because someone else pulls you back into it. It's tough. He's not wrong. And as I said, I do understand the platform we've got, the influence that we have. I'm super aware of it. And don't think I take it for granted because I really don't. John, you're saying Amorim being consistent and doing interviews that we can watch and form our own opinions rather than just reading headline for clicks. Amorim being consistent doing interviews that we can watch. I'm not sure what you mean on that one there, John. Sorry. Amy saying we just need to start winning games. I mean, we bloody do. We really do. What else has he said? There was a couple more things I wanted to run through. But yeah, I think this is kind of like the biggest takeaway. Ruben Amorim is... And to be fair, right? To be fair, right at the very start of Ruben Amorim, he was immediately pointing out that, like, why do you keep asking me about the system? Like, why does it matter if we've got three at the back? Why does it matter if we've got four? And as I said, to be fair, this is what he said right at the start. And remember this. He was like, you're focused on the system. It's kind of not really the point. Which is the thing that he keeps repeating. Now, this is where you get into like a chicken or the egg argument among United fans when you talk about this. Because no United fan can deny that problems mentally existed under Amorim, under Erik ten Hag, and much further before. So then people will come back and say, well, hold on, Sam. Surely Amorim's system, which currently is using players not in their best positions, isn't putting players in their best, therefore, profile and mental state to be able to maximise their game. And then you're like, well, is the system causing the mental? There is no way that you can just put this down to the system causing these mental problems, these mental blocks, these hurdles. It's just not possible. So in terms of the chicken or the egg, the mental blocks definitely existed before we played three at the back and will probably exist after we don't play three at the back. And a lot of that's going to be internal. And Ruben Amorim can only coach them so far. Man, it's like, you know what? Screw any of the other quotes, man. Like, lads, like someone down there saying which players are not in their correct position. I don't have to point out the elephant in the room of Bruno Fernandes not playing in his best position. Do not play Dalot at right wing back. If Dalot's going to play anywhere, I actually think Dalot genuinely would be really quite a good right centre back. And maybe that's a possibility today. I ran through what my starting 11 would be today. Like Ian, you're saying a true performance is what we want today. And again, both of these things are correct at the same time. The result is everything today. Do I care? Yeah, I do care, but ultimately the result is everything. If we score like a 90th minute like own goal from Sunderland and we win the game, then we win the game, it's fine. But the performance is really ultimately what's going to be changing the narratives under the surface. The result on the surface is what we need. But the performance, that's really what's going to be changing the narrative among United fans, changing the feeling among United fans, how we approach that game today. I'm not saying like all bells and whistles and we're dominating, but just play like you did. I said this in the first game of the season. I'm saying now, if you just play like you did against Arsenal, you do it all season, we're going to be fine, man. We are going to be fine. You've already done it against what's supposed to be the second hardest team in the league. So why on earth can't you do that every week? Is it a picking and choosing game? G'd up for the big ones? Can't be asked with it. I don't know. But just play like that every game. You've already done it, lads. Why is it so difficult for you? OPC saying you disagree. Dalot centre back, you need a break. No, man. Dalot is a right-sided centre-back in this system. Genuinely, I think is his best position in this formation. I'll stand by that. There's a couple of super chats. Let me read these out, and I'll run through the starting 11. And earlier, you're saying, can I have emoji with my own face? Maybe not. United till I die, indeed. United might actually kill me. Got to remove all the weeds for the garden to grow. You're coming out with some serious cliches. And you can't just do that either. You can't just be like, I'll remove this player, and then all of a sudden we're going to shine. I'll tell you what, he's got to remove some players from that starting 11 today. Reggie's saying, if you could bring any former United manager since Fergie back, who would it be? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I wouldn't even hesitate. Ole would be the one manager I would love to have seen at Manchester United with a support above him, with an actual football ambition behind the football club. It'll be Ole in a heartbeat. Josh saying, Saturday Live's a constant thing right now? Wouldn't say so, no. We'll see. But this was the starting 11 that I chose yesterday, right? Some obvious changes. Senny making his debut. There is no reason that Senny doesn't make his debut, right? I brought in Yoro at right centre-back. I moved Maguire to the bench, and I put De Ligt back in at centre-back, central centre-back. And I brought in Heaven for Shaw. Now, of all the ones I think are unlikely, this one I think is unlikely. I think he'll play Shaw again. But I'd really rather he didn't. I wish Martinez was fit. Martinez would play there in a heartbeat. But now that I'm talking through it today, I genuinely wouldn't be averse to seeing this. Dalot down there is a right-sided centre-back, and Yoro over on the left. I wouldn't be averse to that. Man, we can get good money for Dalot. He's a good professional, and I think in the right system, in the right formation, in the right club, I think he'd be a decent player, but he's just not. He's just not a wing-back. He'll never be a wing-back. Not for Manchester United. So if I was to play Dalot in this formation, I would genuinely play him at right-sided centre-back today. There has to be changes in this team. There really does have to be changes. Darren, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Good morning, dude. Andy saying, what's Heaven done? He was good when he played, then he's disappeared. I think he kind of just has disappeared. Someone down there, Bartos, is saying Dalot's place is on the bench. I think his place will be on the bench. If I'm being completely honest, and to do an actual predicted, because I kind of got distracted in that 11 yesterday. I was actually running through what I really wanted to see. I think that will be the back four. I do think he makes his debut, Senny Lamons. And I think that will make a difference. Maybe intangible, maybe small. But I think it'll make a difference for these players to have a goalkeeper that, not that they trust yet, but not a goalkeeper they don't trust, if you know what I mean. Their relationship and the players haven't formed an opinion of Lamons, so you're going to give him the benefit. You're going to trust him straight away. And until he proves you wrong, you'll continue to trust your goalkeeper. Bring him in, it'll make a difference. I would put Heaven in, but anyway. And something I really want to see today, and we talk about tweaks in the system. So often this season, when United are being frustrated, I'm seeing Bruno kind of drop into these positions, or drop over there, and receiving the ball first from the centre-backs. Drop in deeper to try and build United up. Please don't do that today, Bruno. Please, can we just have... I'm not saying that Casemiro is the king creator from deep, because you know what Casemiro is going to do? If Casemiro gets the ball in these situations, he is going to do this pass, this exact pass. I'm putting curve on it, a little bit Swaz Techers. Casemiro will receive the ball first from his goalkeeper, and without looking, will fire a ball, try and curve it into the run of Mbumo, 40 yards over. I think that's what he'll do. More than control it and try and play it through the middle. But I just do not want to see Bruno Fernandes receiving the ball first and Casemiro being further up the pitch than bloody Bruno. Because that happens so often with Ugarte. Vince, I've lost any hope that Sam would pronounce Lomons correctly. Well, you mean the name that he's actually done a video on? Senny Lomons. Lomons. Do I need to do Lomons? You have to, like, put your voice down. Don't know. But please just play further up than him, Fernandez, for the love of God. And that might well be a tactical instruction, by the way. That might well be a tactical instruction. I've gone for Ahmad back in at wing back. I've gone Dorgu on the left. Dorgu, his final product isn't being there, but he gets himself in the right positions a lot of times. Just hopefully he swings the balls in for Šeško. And you're saying you would drop Cunha today because he looks off the pace. If Cunha, say Cunha is off the pace, and say that Cunha is going to be rested and brought on in the second half of the game, then that's your easy switch. Fernandez further up, Cobby alongside Casemiro. That's your switch. Or you could play Mason Mount further up and keep Bruno there, which may or may not happen. Either way, like, to summarise here at the end, David Ornstein's reiterating everything that Laurie Whitwell said this week, that United are not planning on sacking Ruben Amorim. Even if we lose to Sunderland, to quote David Ornstein, unless it's severe. Don't know what severe means. Just losing to Sunderland's going to feel severe enough. Then you've got James Ducker from the Telegraph, and you've got Chris Wheeler saying the opposite. But Ruben Amorim kind of came out pointing the finger towards not just the media, but it's the players' absorption of what the media says. And I could not agree with that little comment in red anymore. Like it doesn't matter the system if you play like you played against Brentford. Because if you do that, you will lose every game in the Premier League. It is simple. Until the basics are there as guarantees. Aggression, intensity, application, doing it from 90 minutes. Like basic stuffs. Like it's the fundamentals of any decent sporting team, not just football, just anything in general. If you haven't got those basics, under nines level the whole way through. It doesn't matter what the age group, doesn't matter what the sport. If you don't have those fundamentals in a team sport environment, and the other team does, you're going to bloody lose. And maybe that's why ultimately Ratcliffe and Man United are still sticking by Ruben Amorim, because they believe in that. But at the same time, Ruben needs to tweak his system. Maybe forgive some of the players' weaknesses right now by making some of those tweaks. Don't change it to the point, don't throw it out the window for a 4-3-3, but tweak it to the point where it makes certain things easier for them right now. Maybe just as a little stopgap. I don't think there's anything wrong with tweaking a system as a stopgap. I think shifting a whole system out for a new one, you struggle to reverse from that. But tweak the system. Get a win today. And every single one of these players just play like you should. I can't say anything bloody inspirational at all. So I'm not coach. Just do your damn job as a professional. Roy Keane probably sounds appropriate here right now. Anyway, I suppose that was an interesting show here today. It is still blackout on the 3 p.m. games. I'll be here after. You can't really see it, but that's a new poster up there. That's from the Rooney mini doc we did. I'll put that on the wall. Quite a nice little poster. Look, thank you all for tuning in. I'll be here at, what was it? 3:45, 4:45. Match reaction will go up, I'm guessing, around about 5:15. And I better be here after a win. No, NA12, I'm going to end on this note. You're saying Ten Hag tweaked the system and got fired. He didn't tweak the system. Ten Hag kind of changed completely everything. That's the way I see it. And then actually worked in the first season, but Ten Hag's biggest issue was in the second season. He flipped it, and then he went 1 number 6, 2 number 8s, and the system itself really didn't work. The big old hole in midfield. Amorim, I think, can make small tweaks that don't throw the system out the window, but might bring incremental improvements. Just get the win today, lads. Come on.